All right. I believe we are live. If you log on to the ScanPower Facebook group, you can see the chats as they come in, and feel free to respond to those.
Okay.
Or if you want, I'll just manage that. But welcome, everyone. This is an earlier Tuesday edition of our FBA Facebook Lives from ScanPower. Joining us today are Sarah and JR Struthers. You might know Sarah on socials as Sarah FBA.
Yeah.
And we're very happy to have you guys on because you've been selling online for a while, but you've just been using ScanPower, I think, for the last 6 months or five months.
Yeah, that's about right.
So tell us about your journey as Amazon sellers.
Okay. Well, back in, let's see, it was September of 2019. I had just become a stay-home mom, and I was looking for like a side hustle, something I could still bring in some money but be home with the kids. And I came across Amazon FBA through Hustle Buddies actually, and watched all the YouTubes that I could back then. There wasn't a lot back then. It was very it was like a kept secret or something. Nobody wanted to share information like they do now. So that first year I kind of just learned as much as I could. COVID hit. I didn't really jump in because I was nervous that, I guess, we were on one income. I didn't want to, lose any money for our family, so to speak. But September of 2020, I jumped in full time when I realized that if I didn't do something, I was going to have to go back to a 9 to 5, and things just took off from there. I started in my living room. The next year I moved out to my garage. After that, I moved into a small little space downtown. And then this last January, we moved into a warehouse. And recently my husband joined me, so he's working full time with me as well. So, and that's kind of all of it summed up.
And you're in Michigan, right?
Yes.
Correct. Yep.
I know JR and I had a chance to meet at Amazon United
Yep.
this summer, end of the summer, which is primarily a wholesale conference, but there's lots of people who are either transitioning to or from or combining different types of selling. Is that a good description of your business? What type of Amazon seller would you say you are?
Yeah, so up until now, I've done probably about 75% RA. We've managed to scale to a 7-figure business doing just RA with a little OA. And most recently, we've started transitioning into wholesale. That Amazon United really helped us kind of pull the trigger on that. And we're going through the process of brand registry and doing all that. So we're hoping to pull more of the wholesale and maybe a little less RA, so I'm not running around so much anymore. But the margins in RA are so good, so it's really hard to let that go.
Yeah, I should introduce you to Elizabeth Thompson if you don't already know her. She runs a group of primarily RA sellers who are also very good at scaling RAs. We just did a bunch of features for her recently.
Oh wow!
But that she has multiple shoppers that go out and shop for her, and you probably do the same. But one of the things that she's done is create just a huge list of notes that are associated to brands and ASINs and different products that get surfaced, in ScanPower Mobile. And she's developed this huge list that helps guide her shoppers on what to buy, what to restock. And recently we're getting ready to release this week, but we expanded the time that you can see your sales for a product. So, your shoppers out at the store, they're scanning something. We used to show 30 days of sales. Now we'll show whatever time period you have selected. Like if you have 365 days, we'll show all the sales in that time period. In addition, we'll show a return count. So if it's a good seller, but you're also getting a high amount of returns, the shopper can see that right at the source. So
I think that's right
awesome.
where we are in our business. I do have a couple shoppers that shop once in a while, but I'm looking at bringing one on full time. So hopefully your app is going to help us with that, make things easier, like that notes suggestion. So we're
Yeah,
kind of doing that right
we'll
now.
talk more about that. I can
Awesome.
send you some details and actually give you a preview of what we're working on.
Beautiful.
That'd be great.
So wholesale, that seems to be what everyone's talking about right now. All the gurus and all the new
All the
sellers.
gurus.
Right.
How did you guys begin doing wholesale?
Well, my husband comes from working in the marine industry. Do you want to take this one?
Yep. Yeah, sure I can. I come from a background working in the marine industry for the last 20 years. Everything from just regular manufacturing all the way through engineering and developing and that kind of stuff. So I have a few relationships in that world already, and I just reached out to a couple that I thought might be a good fit and be willing to work with us in the e-commerce space. And they were like, "Oh yeah, let's see what we can do." So we have a couple of accounts that way that were set up just through people I knew that way, and that seemed to work out really well. But yeah, that's how we kind of got started. And then it's like, oh, this is easy. We could do this. So now it's
easy.
yeah, it's expanding. Hopefully, slowly. We're transitioning into some more wholesale and some different markets, some grocery stuff, different things that we've been able to find. So
Yeah, so with the the kind of product margins are different. There's definitely some some capital costs are different. Or have you found it to be an easy transition, or did you kind of have to rethink how the RA side might fund the wholesale side, or is it involve some financing, some what are some tricks that you use to slowly grow one side of the business,
Yeah.
leveraging off the other?
I think the RA side is definitely helping to fund the wholesale side, but when you're making such larger purchases, like we recently just had a $30,000 wholesale purchase, that's a big chunk of change out of your budget for sourcing RA. So it has been a slow transition, I would say, because we have to maintain the shopping and still looking through the catalogs. We have taken advantage of some. I've done an Amazon loan in the past. Now those, I don't really like those right now with interest rates. So we utilize like a 0% cashback credit card, or Payoneer. I'm talking to them a little bit right now to see if they have anything they can offer us on our Amazon side. We also sell on Walmart, so it's a very delicate balance as far as where our money is being allocated each month and for which platform. So those margins, we have to keep those going so that we can have the capital to purchase these wholesale orders. So
yeah, it's an interesting balance. I find that RA, that kind of stuff, obviously margins are better, and that helps fund the business. But the wholesale stuff, you kind of you end up paying for it up front, but you can process it through and get so much of it into inventory quickly. Where the RA stuff, the margins are better, but it does take a little bit more work and time kind of on the back end to get it processed and into Amazon. So there's good and bad, and it's kind of a trade-off of which one do you gotta pay more up front, but you're gonna have it there and be able to get it in quickly and easily, or you can only take 5 or 10 of them at a time, but it might take a little bit more on the backside to get that process through. So
I think too, it's made us have to really make sure that our RA purchases are solid. So that we're concentrating on those healthy margins and not just, there was a time when I would take anything that would make me $5, no problem, but not so much anymore because I need to utilize that capital to make wholesale purchases. So
Yeah, how has it been this year with just inflation and kind of pricing in retail and in wholesale? What changes have you seen, and how have you reacted to that? Clearly in RA, you're just tightening up your conditions for what's a profitable buy.
Yeah, so for wholesale, we don't have too much to compare to since we're kind of newer to that whole scene within the last 6 months, I'd say. So I'm not really sure how it's been before. And a lot of ours are brand direct. So he's been able to get us some really nice agreements
Oh, yeah.
as far as pricing goes. The grocery wholesale and such, we're definitely getting used to some slimmer margins there from what we're used to. As far as RA goes, it's been a great year as far as discounts and stores kind of liquidating. So being able to get our hands on inventory that's been drastically marked down has been easier, I'd say, this year than in the past. But who's to say going into 2024 how that's going to look? But this year, as far as sourcing, hasn't been so bad. It's been pretty good, actually.
That's good to hear. As you know, trying to run a software service, at different times I've spent more time in the field, actually sourcing products and selling at a really low level. But lately, it's just been hard to carve out the time to do that. So I don't have as good of as much of a sense of what the retail environment's like.
Yeah.
So tell me how you heard about ScanPower and kind of the different ways that you use our products.
Well, we started looking at something different when the whole Seller Central Inventory Lab integration, like the new workflow and all that, when that all kind of came about and everything kind of blew up. We were looking for just a different way to do it because it was becoming such a hassle to work product through. And another seller friend of ours was like, hey, take a look at this. And actually we hopped on just like this, hopped on a Zoom, and he's like, all right, well, here's what it looks like, here's how I use it. And I was like, oh, it's like as soon as you could see kind of how it works, I was like, oh, well, I could see how we could use some of this and some of this, some of these features, and it could kind of make it work better for how we do business. So with RA, so much RA and a lot of one-offs and things like that. Like that was kind of our big bottleneck is with RA. Sometimes you do get so many one-offs, like they're great, but you're only going to get 2 or 3 of them at a time, and you may not get another one for another 4 or 5 weeks, So being able to transition into that and seeing how that worked, that's initially how it started. And once we did that and we discovered like the way the app works and all those kind of features, it was like, oh, I could see how this could work great for us. So
yeah.
Do you guys make heavy use of the buy list?
We do.
Yeah, so that has helped so much when we have 2 part-time helpers that prep for us as well. So he kind of covers all of the warehouse stuff. I do all the purchasing. So when I'm out in the stores, being able to put where I got it from, how much I paid, any notes that I need, like if I got it at TJ Maxx, make sure you take pictures of this item with the receipt, any notes I need to give to the preppers at the time. That's been so helpful because now it's not all just, he'd say everything's in your head and he'd have to ask me, how much did you pay for this? Where'd you get it? And I always knew, but I didn't realize how much it was slowing them down. And on the flip side of that, I also store all of our Walmart purchases. So when I'm out RAing for the Walmart platform, I'll put a note in there for Walmart, and then they know to set that aside and process that separately for Walmart. So it's been extremely helpful.
And for the Walmart items, do you download the buy list into a separate sheet, or do they just go off of the buy list when they're processing it and know this is Walmart based on the notes?
Yeah, we just set it aside because there's a whole other listing process for Walmart. So basically, there's a bunch of products sitting on the table. We come in, we drop everything off, and we're able to just kind of go in and open the buy list or import from buy list and just start selecting things. Yep. And they just know that if in the notes we see for Walmart, it's like, oh, okay, we'll set all these aside. We know what we're doing with them later. So they just know to separate them, keep them out of these batches. Here's what's going to Amazon, and here's what's going to end up going to Walmart. So it's a nice feature to not be like, oh, well, which one am I sending this to? Am I not? It just speeds that process up a lot. So
yeah, awesome. So what's a typical week look like for you two?
Busy. We have 2 very active teams. So aside from managing all of that and being Uber, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, he's in the warehouse with our prep help. Every day I'm either out in the stores or I'm doing OA purchases from home usually. And we also have a VA that's helping us go through wholesale catalogs. So I spend a lot of time, chatting back and forth with him, and doing orders, and there's seems to be always something going on, but Tuesday through Thursday is the majority of our shipments and listing and all that good stuff. So
Yep. We have a daughter who's 16 and she just passed her driver's test.
yay.
So I mean, it's good because I'm less of an Uber than I used to be, but it also introduces other worries.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she's doing a good job with the new responsibility. And how old are yours?
We have a 14-year-old and a 17-year-old, and she just got her license a couple months ago.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
she's off doing her thing, but he's very active with all of the sports and stuff. So there's always somewhere to go.
Yeah. We had a 1-year overlap when our son, who's the oldest, had his, he was a senior in high school and he could give a ride to the youngest who was a first year in high school. And so we had kind of a glory year where they could spend all this time together. He could give her a ride. They were even on the same team a couple of seasons,
That's cool.
But
that's so fun.
Yeah,
Good memory.
It's awesome, and I think most people would say that Amazon helps. It allows you to have a lifestyle that really focuses on family and kids, but also mix the business into the gaps, and
Yep.
It's
I would definitely agree. It's definitely can be a grind at times, especially right now as we're in Q4. But it does give you the flexibility to make your schedule how you need it to be. And that has what's been just huge for us, especially him working the last 20 years, a 9 to 5, and then coming home and having freedom. I think that was a huge wake up call for him. So
yeah, I was very regimented in my schedule, and I knew when I had to work, and I knew it was Monday through Friday, and then, we knew when busy seasons were, and I was gonna have to work more hours and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden it just kind of flipped a switch and be like, oh, so we could work today or we could not, and it only affects us. This is awesome.
Yeah, that's been amazing.
It's been fun.
Super grateful Amazon has given us that.
Okay. I think I have one more question for you. Oh, I know. I have two questions. One of the reasons that we got in touch was we noticed that you had the SellerSnap integration turned on. Can you talk a little bit about how you're, how you're repricing, and, are there ways that has made it easier for you, or is there some pain points still?
It definitely makes it easier being able to integrate the two softwares. We have it set up so that when we do a batch, it automatically integrates with SellerSnap, and then I personally go in and set my min and maxes for my items. I'll set my min at a lower, like a 15%, and then my max at whatever it needs to be, and then I just let it go and it does its thing, and I trust my repricer. I've been using SellerSnap for about 3 years. I've tried many other repricers, but this one just seems to be the one that works the best for us, and I trust it, and it does a good job. So the repricing for us isn't a big issue as it is for a lot of other people. It's not one of those tedious jobs we have to go in and check all the time. So that part's been really nice.
That's great to hear. I think it's been probably 5 years ago that we first started talking internally about doing an integration with them. And I had met Ian and recently Adrian and Tally from, I don't know if you saw them at Amazon United, but yep. They, when we conducted a poll of our users, they came out on top as the number one choice for an integration. And we knew they had a long history of being, not just a rules base, but I'll say AI
Right.
repricing,
Yeah.
and super high quality. So we're excited that you're using it, and I'm actually going to be joining Ian and Adrian on a podcast after this call
Oh, great.
to kind of talk about our integration. So it's great to hear some feedback from you folks, and
Yeah, it's
we'll,
a great repricer, especially if you're trying to move volume. I just feel like it does such a better job than some of the other repricers. Yeah, we've been super happy with it.
maintaining margins and
Yep.
yeah.
Right. I mean, it brings your price up. So that's huge. It's not always a tank to the bottom as a lot of the other rule-based repricers sometimes do. So when we get the buy box, it's very common. We'll just see our price go up and we're selling items for more than what they
Yeah.
did when they grabbed the buy box. So that makes a big deal when you're selling volume. Every little penny counts. So
For sure. JR, are there any wholesale features that you've used or that you would recommend to our users that have helped you?
Yeah, we do. We use so right, wrong, or otherwise. How we use it, I create kind of a what we call like a PO in there,
Mhm.
and then I create batches in there for our POs that we submit, and our prep help is able to just kind of take those and we just, even if I just put a quantity of one, whatever we order, we copy those out a lot of times because you can just go in and copy the item to a new batch. And
Yeah.
so sometimes whatever we decide we're going to send in, because it's not always, it's not always just we'll send all of these out. No, we pick and choose based on inventory and sales. So um, we just go in and copy items out, create a new batch, and send that batch. So it's nice that, especially with our help, they don't ever have to know what do we pay, where do we get it, dates or any of that.
Yeah.
And to be able to, the big thing is like expiration dates, be able to input like an expiration date and print that label out, right, basically right up until the point you put it in a box is super helpful, because sometimes that gets forgotten and those types of things. So it's nice for them to be able to go, hey, this needs an expiration date. Oh, okay, well, I was just about to pack it. Let me print that out real quick. So that's a big feature we use for that. But yeah, being able to just copy items out, be able to record it right when we submit a PO, put them in there, they're there, we have the info, and be able to use them repeatedly is a big one for us.
Cool. No, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
There are a couple of new features that kind of connected to the purchase order that we've added. One is just a better tracking of when there's like a missing or damaged or issues with the item. You can actually track that as an issue, and then maybe it's across multiple POs. We've added a new screen that allows you to reconcile those missing and damaged units, attach a URL for a picture and a note to the item that
nice.
you can use when you're contacting suppliers. So I can send you some information about that. That's currently on our beta channel, but as you scale up, that might be useful when your wholesale orders get larger, and
Oh, yeah.
you might be receiving 2 or 3 POs at the same time in the warehouse and just tracking everything.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's cool.
Could be useful. Well, we're actually at the half-hour mark, and I've gone through all of my questions, and it's been so much fun to talk to you and to see you in person.
Yeah.
Again, JR, it's nice to meet you at Amazon United, and
Yeah, it was good.
fun to hear about your journey. So you were in the marine industry, and now you've got some great suppliers connected to that.
Yeah. Like I said, there was a few that I reached out to that I was like, these guys, I've worked with them for a few years as a supplier. I know they're not, some of those companies out there are not too interested right away to jump in on an e-commerce only vendor or a customer, but there was a couple that I was like, I'm sure they'd be okay with it, and they've been super welcoming, and it's if I didn't have the relationships, we probably wouldn't be getting a lot of the product that we are getting. So it's just a testament to building those relationships and with those sales reps and vendors and all those types of things to be able to call up and go, hey, what do you got? I'm willing to, what do you got that we can make a good partnership with, and those types of things. So, and coming at it from that way too is, my previous employment was a lot about partnerships, and like they're just not, buying product from somebody, but making it about, let's do what works for you, let's do what works for us, let's both get something out of this and make it a good thing. And so coming at it from that point of view has helped as well, to not be just I just want to buy your stuff and sell it. Be like, well, let's, what works for you, how can we work in there to help you guys out as well? So that has been a big one also.
I'd like to add too, for those of you that might be watching that aren't in the wholesale area yet, I was able to scale the RA business just like that. So for me, it's making relationships with store managers, employees. They'll text me, call me if they have, a clearance that's going down, and be like, hey, heads up, this is going on clearance. Do you want all of this? Do you want to shop our back room? Can I do a phone order and send this to you? Like, those relationships are everything. So we get the question a lot, how did you scale? That's how. You have to make relationships out there in your business, and it changes everything. So networking, I think, is what we're both getting at here, is key to success. So
yeah, and when you break it down to just the relationship, it's not some magic bullet, it's not some formula. It's really just talking to the person and establishing trust, and making sure that it's a two-sided relationship, and
exactly.
as JR and you say, Sarah, it's not rocket science, but it's also not easy for everyone to do that. And that's just great advice. I think that's perfect, because we all have fears of getting started. We all have fears of jumping into the deep end, and it's so great to hear, like, well, this is how we started, or I leveraged my expertise in this, or I had a relationship in this, and that led to the next steps. And just want to again thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Wish you both a very successful Q4, and let us know if we can do anything to help.
Awesome. We sure appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take
Sounds
care.
good. Thanks, Paul.
You too.
Thank you.
And by the way, we'll share this in the chat, but if you'd like to follow Sarah on Instagram, I think it's Sarah's FBA.
Sarah's.FBA. Yeah.
Okay. Sarah's.FBA, and also on X, you're Sarah's FBA.
No dot.
Cool.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Thanks again, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, take
Sounds
care.
good. Thanks, Paul.
Bye-bye.
Bye.